Hey everyone, how are you today? It is your girl Gwen Jameer here to talk to you about tonight's topic, which is this article that has been floating around about black hair products being linked to diseases and cancers and things like that. And so I'm gonna wait for a few of you to get in here, but I want to start to read the article first because some of you may not be familiar with the article. And so I want to read the article because it's a relatively short article, and I think reading it aloud, for those of you who are familiar with it and those of you who are not familiar with it, will set the stage for tonight's topic. Okay, so we're going to talk about the article itself, which says popular black hair products are filled with toxic chemicals linked to disease, studies find. Yikes, right? So we're going to talk about this, and then we're also going to talk about basically what to stay away from, what to look for, which are things that we've talked about before on Real Hair Revelations, but you know, it never hurts to go over it again, especially when articles like this start floating around the web, right? So let me just make sure my lighting is okay because I feel like it's like giving me a hard time right now. Yee. Okay, so now, first of all, this article came out in May of 2018, but it has somehow found its way back around the web because I've seen it shared everywhere. I had people email it to me, I've had people text it to me, I've had people DM it to me, and I've seen it obviously being posted in the groups, particularly the Naturalicious Nation, and I've seen it elsewhere as well. So let's get into it. Popular black hair products are filled with toxic chemicals linked to disease, studies find. A new study claims that the most popular hair products for black women and children contain multiple chemicals linked to cancer, weight gain, asthma, and fertility issues, amongst other things. Silent Springs Institute found that 80% of hair products contain high levels of chemicals that disrupt the endocrine system, which regulates metabolism, reproduction, and more. The product test was broken into 6 different categories: hot oil treatment, anti-frizz polish, leave-in conditioner, root stimulator, hair lotion, and relaxers. The study also found that 84% of the detected chemicals were not listed on the product label, while 72% of the products contain methylparabens and dithylparabens, an acid that can emit toxic gases if burned. The highest numbers of parabens were found in hair lotions. This is something we talked about before, right? The hair products tested contain 45 endocrine disrupting or asthma-associated chemicals, including every targeted chemical class. We found parabens and fragrance markers at the highest levels. Root stimulators, hair lotions, and relaxers frequently contain parabens, which we've talked about. Fragrances, anti-frizz products contain siloxanes, which are, again, a form of parabens. Moving along, it says higher levels of parabens were found in products targeted to black women compared to white women, the study uncovered. Additionally, research suggests that exposure to toxic chemicals in hair oils and relaxers could be directly linked to higher prevalence of asthma in black girls and women, as well as early menstruation, fertility issues, obesity, uterine fibroids, and premature birth rates, along with increased cases of breast and endometrial cancers. We've talked about this, y'all. But I think it's so interesting when it comes from, when it's like an actual study, right? I've been telling y'all this for like years. But to keep it moving along, it's not much left in the article. It says, these results indicate the need for more information about the contribution of consumer products to exposure disparities, which is why I do Real Hair Revelations in the first place, right? The study concludes, a precautionary approach would reduce the use of endocrine disrupting chemicals in personal care products and improve labeling so women can select products consistent with their values. This isn't the first time that perilous ingredients in black hair products have been exposed. In 2016, Black Women for Wellness concluded a 5-year study that found similar results. All right, so now that we read the article, let's talk about it. All right, so this is not surprising to me at all. Not at all. It's more surprising to me that it's so surprising to other people. I have been saying for years, you guys, black hair products are usually not made by black people. They also are not, and because they're not made by people who look like you and who have your challenges, unfortunately, they usually don't really care what goes into those products. Here's the thing that I've been telling y'all forever, and I really need y'all to grasp this, and I need you to retain this information, because I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't really care that much about selling hair products. It's not really even a passion of mine. I do care about creating solutions for you. I do care about making sure that women of color, specifically women who are like me, black women, are not routinely frustrated with their hair day in and day out and day in and day out and can't figure out what in the world to do with their hair. And so that's why Naturalicious exists. Naturalicious does not exist to create another one of many products for you. Naturalicious exists to create solutions to your challenges. That is what gets me up every day. That is why I do Real Hair Revelations every week, and it is intentionally made to be brand agnostic. If you notice, I really don't talk that much about the products that we make at Naturalicious. I do talk about, I always tell you guys, I want you to buy Naturalicious. It would be great if you bought Naturalicious, but if you don't, this information is going to benefit you regardless of what product you use. Because the fact of the matter is that 5-10 years ago, we as black women were just excited to find a product that was made and targeted to us, right? I remember Shea Moisture was not the Shea Moisture that we know now, right? It was like back then when I went natural, which was literally just 7 years ago, Shea Moisture came in like this like basic looking bottle. You could only find it at flea markets. It wasn't like this big deal like it is nowadays, right? The only product that we had that was readily available, kind of sort of, was Carol's Daughter, and you had to go to Macy's to get it. It wasn't at CVS, it wasn't at Target, it wasn't at all these places. And so back then we were still confused about what to do with our hair. Fast forward 5 to 10 years later, we have aisles and aisles of products dedicated to our hair at stores like Target, at Walmart, at JCPenney, at Macy's, at all these different places. But between those two extremes, having not enough product and having too much product, in the middle, we still don't know what the hell to do with our hair. We as a culture of black women are still confused. We are still struggling to find out what's going to work, right? And so that's the problem, and that is why Naturalicious exists, is to eliminate that frustration, eliminate that you know, what do I do with my hair? We shouldn't be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and still not understanding what our hair needs. The beauty and the challenge of black hair is that no two textures are alike, right? I can have one texture, my sister can have the exact same texture, and two products, the same product may not work for both of us, right? So that's the beauty of it, because we're so varied and we're so unique. But the challenge is that it takes us so long because it's so much trial and error. You never know what's going to work for you until you actually try it, right? And so everything that I do at Naturalicious is designed to try to eliminate that frustration for you, which is why we have that amazing guarantee, which is 60 days, don't like it, return it, we'll refund your money and buy you a competitor's product to replace it. Because I know how it was going to the store, all this trial and error, trying all this different stuff, getting it home, it's sucking, and me throwing it into that drawer of shame in my bathroom where all my products just stuck if I didn't like something, right? So again, I care more about you understanding your hair, you loving your God-given beauty, than I do about selling hair products. Because I aspire to sell you solutions, not to just give you another one of many. So let's get back into this article. This article, it solidifies the point that I've made for years, which is that black women, we spend the vast majority amongst any demographic, we spend the most money on hair products. You all know this. This is not news to you, right? You know that. The problem with that is that there is a lot of money to be made in you not understanding your hair. Again, which is why I do what I do, right? There's so much money that companies make because you don't understand what to look for in the ingredients when you go to the store, that you don't know that you shouldn't be buying products that have mineral oil in it. There's so much money to be made in the fact that you are not understanding that parabens are literally giving you cancer or can cause you to have cancer. There's so much money to be made in that. And what you also don't know is that when you try a product and you don't like it, you say, okay, I don't like this product, I'm going to try something else, right? So you go and you try something else, but that something else is often owned by the exact same company. It's usually the same product with a different label by a different brand, but it's all in the same conglomerate together, right? The vast majority of products targeted to us, again, are not made by us. So when you think that you're foregoing, you know, whatever product, let's say Cantu, which we all know has bad ingredients in it, we talked about that before, and then you try something else, guess what? That's probably owned by the same dude or same family who own Cantu. And it's just relabeled, and it has a different fragrance and maybe a slightly different texture, but it's the same freaking product. You know what I'm saying? And so these, even though you're trying something new, it's really not anything new. It's the same old stuff, just repackaged. And this is why, as a brand owner, it's sometimes a little frustrating. And I think that a lot of brand owners won't tell you the real about the things that they think about. Because as a person who is also the target customer, right? Those of us who are in this space, who actually do care about what you're putting in your hair and what you are, how it affects you as a person, how it affects you as in your health, how it affects your family. As someone who does that for a living, as well as my counterparts who do that, because there are some of us who are in this space who do great work. I'm sorry, I'm gonna turn my light up just a little bit. It's challenging for us because we'll get comments, and oftentimes, and you know, people say, well, why does this cost so much? Why do black hair products always cost so much? Well, this is why they cost so much. This is why black hair products, the good ones, are not going to be $5 and $10 usually, right? You may find some here and there. I know we have a $12 product, but the vast majority of black hair products, if they're quality, they have to be more expensive because businesses survive off of profitability. If the business is not profitable, there is no business. And so the business has to make money. And it's not that the product owners want to just charge you a whole bunch of money just because they can. It's because they're using products and ingredients that are super high quality, that don't give you cancer, that don't cause you to have endocrine problems, that don't cause you to have reproductive issues, that don't cause you to have obesity issues or thyroid issues or all these other things that these other products that don't care about you have in them. So yes, you can absolutely find products that are targeted to black people that are $5, that are $10, that are $12, you know, whatever. But again, these products are linked to diseases. And I've said this before, parabens are known to cause cancer. Well known. Parabens are found in almost every product that, you know, is what we call a heritage brand. You know, those ones from back in the day, like the pink lotion and all that kind of stuff. You know, I think pink lotion has taken it out, but it used to be in there. This article even says here, let's see, it says, we reached out to Silent Springs Institute for a list of products tested for endocrine disrupting ingredients, which include Luster's Pink Oil Moisturizer Hair Lotion, Organic Root Stimulator Hair Mayonnaise, ORC Fertilizing Serum, ORC Carrot and Organic Root Stimulator, Carrot and Olive Oil, Alberto VO5, which is a classic. Like, we was using that way back in the day, right? Alberto VO5 Moisturizing Oil, John Frieda's collection of Frizzy's Hair Serum, Soft and Beautiful Just For Me No Light Conditioning Relaxer, and Bronner Brothers Maximum Strength Super Grow. Okay? So, listen, these are brands that all y'all know and love. And some of them may have been black owned at one point and they may have sold off. Some of them, and no shade to them because I understand business, I understand you got to do what you got to do. But sometimes when they get sold off, they start to cut ingredients. And when they cut ingredients, they're cutting the ingredients not because they just feel like cutting ingredients. They're cutting ingredients because it saves them money. And when they cut ingredients, those ingredients that they replace with it oftentimes are going to be carcinogens. Carcinogens are ingredients that cause cancer. In the United States, parabens are not banned. They are banned in countries like India, and they're banned on the continent of Africa, in most parts of Africa. They are banned in Asia, in Europe, but in the United States, they are not banned. And I, for the life of me, don't know why. Other than the fact that it's profitable for the government and for people who are using them. That's the only reason I can think of, because almost everywhere else in the world, they are banned. Parabens are known to cause breast cancer. Known. Studies have been done for years that show that these things cause cancer. Y'all got me clapping on my soapbox right now, right? It's so frustrating because I'll see people in the aisles at stores and I can't help myself but to go over to them and tell them, like, look, this ingredient is cancer causing. This one is going to you know, naturally give your hair dryness or what have you, you know, whatever. So I'm always like teaching, you know, when I'm in aisles at stores and I see people kind of scanning the aisles trying to figure out what to buy, even if my product's not in that store, right? Because I want you to buy something that's not going to continue to give you frustration. And what happens as the brand owner, and also again for my counterparts, because we talk, you know, it's frustrating for us because it's a lot of times consumers are very much like women who have been scorned. And I get it because I've been there, right? It's like, you know, it's like somebody that like you've dated like losers, you know, for so long. You dated like 4, 5, 6 different losers that did you wrong. They cheated on you, had babies on you, married somebody else, all this other stuff. And by the time you get to a good guy, he has to make up for all the BS those other dudes did to you. And it's not his fault, but you come into the relationship often, not you per se, you know, because I know you would never do this, girl, right? But that woman, she comes into the relationship scorned. She's guarded. She's, you know, every little thing that he does, she is oftentimes questioning it. You know, what's his motives? What does he want? And that's how it feels a lot of times when we, as the brand owners who actually give a damn about you, feel, because you've been suckered in by these other BS companies that put stuff like this into your hair products, and your hair's dry and you spend all this money on things that don't work and you can't return it and you're stuck with it, and by the time you finally get to a quality brand, you are scorned. You are, with good reason, right? You're scorned. You go into the decision-making process pessimistic out the gate because everybody else has sold you snake oil, right? You've been so, you know, deceived and lied to for years, and you've been trying to figure out your hair for all this time. And finally you find somebody who's got something good for you. You know, you see an advertisement for it or you hear somebody talk about it and you're automatically like, I don't know, because I already spent hundreds of dollars on this other stuff and it didn't work for me, and my hair is still dry and my curls still don't pop. So I'm not about to spend my time and energy on something else, right? And so that is the frustrating part of it for us, because we're like, we know we have stuff for you that will change your life, change how you feel about yourself, change how you show up in the world, right? Because as women are, and there's guys on this live as well, but as people, but specifically as women, how we feel about our hair is a reflection of how we feel about our beauty. And how we feel about our beauty is usually how we feel about ourselves, right? So I see women all the time, they'll say, I hate my hair won't do this, I wish my hair looked like hers. It's not that she hates her hair. She doesn't hate her hair. She actually would love her hair if she knew what to do with it, right? But nobody is giving you that information. Nobody's taught you what to do for your hair. I was just at a restaurant today and I saw this girl walking by at the restaurant, and she had natural hair and it was just really dry, and it just looked like she wasn't caring for it properly. And obviously I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be rude or, you know, make her feel uncomfortable. But, you know, the way that she was walking, the way that her shoulders were slumped, the way that she showed up, I could tell that she wasn't feeling herself, right? She wasn't. And when you're not feeling yourself, when you can't show up good for you, when you don't look in that mirror and you see something that you appreciate and love looking back, there's no way that you can show up in the world for anybody else at 100%. You can't show up for your family at 100%. You can't show up for your job, for your business if you own one. You can't do any of that at 100% if you don't show up for yourself that way. And so when we create products, myself and like I said, some of my counterparts who do have amazing products as well, when we create those products, that's why these products oftentimes are more pricey than the products that are going to give you cancer and going to give you weight issues and going to give you reproductive issues. I mean, they're saying here that some of these products, they're giving little girls early menstruations. There's little girls having periods at 7 and 8 years old because of hair products that their parents are putting in their hair unbeknownst to them. It's causing early menstruations. This is not okay. Remember, everything, it's not just your hair, right? Everything you put onto your body, onto your skin. Our skin is the largest organ on our body. Anything you put onto your skin, that includes your scalp, goes into your bloodstream and affects what's happening inside of you, right? Which is why I went natural in the first place. I went natural because I saw good hair and realized that I was pregnant with my son at the time, and I was like, ooh, if this relaxer is going to disintegrate this can, what in the world is it going to do to my baby? What is it going to do to me? You know? And that was my catalyst. That was my impetus for going natural. Different people have different reasons, but I know that movie was one for a lot of people. That movie, Good Hair by Chris Rock. So, you know, it is my hope and my dream for every black woman to understand her hair and understand that natural hair is not complicated, but also understand that, you know, if you want to avoid these sorts of things that are in this article that people are so appalled about, that I've been telling y'all for years, you know, you're gonna have to, you know, you can't find it in a $2 hair lotion. You got to remember, businesses are in business to be profitable. If the business is not profitable, there is no business. There is no point in being in business to break even. There's no point in being in business to lose money. So in order for the business to sustain itself, it has to be profitable. So if you are buying a product that costs you $3 or $5, or let's even go as far as say $7 for, you know, a hair twisting cream or what have you, remember that that product probably costs that, let me go back. If that product costs $2 for you to buy and you're like, oh, this is a good deal, I'm about to get this $2 product, guess what? It probably costs them less than 50 cents to make that product. And if it costs them less than 50 cents and they have a whole list of ingredients running down the list, right? You'll notice that most of the really BS products have tons of ingredients, right? If it costs you $2, you gotta remember that it probably costs them at least $1, but most businesses, it's probably gonna cost them less than 50 cents, right? And so, how much did these ingredients cost? I don't want anything on my body or in my body, because it's gonna go into my bloodstream, that isn't quality. I know you don't either. So when we think about, oh, I got a good deal, well, how good of a deal is it? It's kind of like eating healthy now versus getting sick later, right? Because they always say, like, well, you can pay for it now or you can pay for it later. Like, you can pay for healthy food, organic foods now while you're healthy and younger, and you can, you know, you have to come out the pocket for it a little bit, but you will pay for it later when you are older and you are sickly, and, you know, you could have avoided all of that by eating healthy when you were younger, right? So it's like, what's the payoff here, right? Is it, okay, yeah, you just want to have a $2 product or a $3 or $4 or $5 product? Or do you want to end up with cancer and having your kids have early menstruation problems and obesity for no reason and all these other things, fertility issues, obesity, fibroids? I mean, I've seen studies that say black women have fibroid issues far more than other races of women. It could be because we're putting these cancerous ingredients in our bodies. Premature birth rates, increased cases of breast cancers and endometrial cancers. And when I listed the products, yes, dementia, exactly. Sherry said dementia as well. This is so true. When I listed the products, right? When I listed, because I'm passionate about it, Kalima, I'm super passionate about this, if you can't tell. That's why I'm repeating myself, because I need to get this through to people, because I say this stuff and everybody's like, yeah, I get it, but then as soon as, like, somebody has a sale on some old BS product, everybody wants to run and go get it, not remembering that we just talked about the fact that Luster's Classic Pink Oil Lotion, Organic Root Stimulator Hair Mayonnaise, Fertility Fertilizing Serum, all these other products that we know and have, you know, loved all the time, you know, as soon as there's a sale on it, or they find it at a good deal, or they find it at a dollar store or whatever, then they run out and get it, and they totally forget what's been said. So anyway, I hope I'm driving home the point, but let's get some off my soapbox for a minute, but let's get into what to stay away from really quickly. Okay, so we talked about this before. I'm gonna try to go through this again real fast. First of all, I need you to stay away from parabens. We talked about parabens tonight. Parabens will cause cancer. They are known to cause cancer. Again, they are banned in countries all over the world except for the United States. I don't know why. It doesn't matter why they're not banned. The bottom line is that you need to stay away from them. Parabens are so easy to spot, right? Hey, Tara. Parabens are super easy to spot. They say paraben at the end of the ingredients. So remember, my analogy always is if you go to the store, think about when you were younger. My mother used to always say, you know, if you meet a guy, he's always going to show you his representative. He's going to tell you everything you want to hear, all the sweet nothings. Yeah, baby, I love you, blah, blah, blah. But you don't get to meet the real deal Holyfield until months, maybe even years later, right? So who shows up for you in the beginning is always going to be the representative. The representative is going to tell you everything you want to hear. When you go to the store and you buy a hair product, what you see on the front of the label is always the representative. Always. One of the only things that's regulated on the front of the label is the size. So a brand cannot say, hey, this product is 8 ounces when it's really only 6, right? But they can say that it's natural, because that's not a regulated term by the FDA. They can say that it's healthy. Sometimes they can even say it's organic. They can say all kinds of stuff, because those terms have no meaning when it comes to FDA regulations. However, on the back of the label, this is what I want you to focus on. This is the real deal, remember? So the guy with the representative, that's what you're gonna see on the front of the label. It's gonna tell you everything you want to hear. Turned around the back, that's who you would see six months later, 9 months later, when you're like, wait a minute, who is this person I met? Who are you? Where's the person I met on day one? Because I don't even like you anymore, right? That's the real person. That's what you're going to get when you look at the ingredient list. The ingredient list will tell you everything you need to know. This is why it's so vital for you to understand ingredients, because if you understand ingredients, and there's not that many that you really need to be worried about. I mean, there's a lot you need to be worried about, but there's a few that you really, really, really need to be focused on. If you understand those, you will stop wasting your money. You will stop wasting your time. You will stop being frustrated with products that are never going to work for you, because you already know that this ingredient is not conducive to anybody who has naturally curly hair, including you, including me. It's not made for you, right? So parabens are one of them. They always say paraben. They'll show up as things like methylparaben, butylparaben, all sorts of things. They say paraben at the end of the word. Another way that they're disguised is that they sometimes say Z-A-N-E. So like xylazane, right? That is another form of a paraben. So if it says paraben or X-A-N-E, zane at the end of the word, put it down. It is it is a carcinogen, and it can cause breast cancer for you. All right? Stay away from it. That's what we're talking about in this article. Okay? Stay away from that stuff. Please, you guys. We do not need anybody having all sorts of crazy diseases because these product brands don't give a crap about you or I. All right? The next thing I want you to stay away from is sulfates. A lot of people know that to stay away from sulfates, but I find that most people, this is the problem with like the blogs and, you know, the internet, is because there's so much misinformation, incorrect information, conflicting information that leaves you, again, frustrated and confused because you don't know what is right or what is wrong, okay? So sulfates, well, a lot of us know to stay away from sulfates, but most of us don't know why. Sulfates are essentially a detergent that you're putting in your hair. It is not designed to clean your hair any better. It is not going to make your hair softer. A lot of us are accustomed to suds being in our products, right? a lot of times we think the more sudsy something is, the cleaner your hair is getting. This is completely false, all right? Last time I talked about sulfates on Real Hair Revelations, I talked about it extensively. It was just about sulfates. And we talked about the fact that I actually brought a bottle of Tide laundry detergent, and I bought a bottle of hair product that had sulfates in it. Compared the two. Now, if you know about ingredients on an ingredient list, what's at the top of the list is what is most prevalent, what's towards the bottom is least prevalent. In both of these products, the first two ingredients were water in both, and the second ingredient was sodium lauryl sulfate, okay? Which means that the vast majority of both products is sodium lauryl sulfate and water. Sodium lauryl sulfate does nothing but create suds, okay? It's an aesthetically pleasing thing for us because people are accustomed to suds, and it makes you feel like you're doing something. Suds are not going to clean your hair any better than a product that is sulfate free and designed to clean your hair, okay? So if you would not put Tide laundry detergent in your hair to wash it on wash day, I'm gonna need you not to put it in your hair in a product that you find at the store, okay? If you would not put Dawn dish soap in your hair on wash day and wash your hair, I'm gonna need you not to do the same thing on wash day with a product from a store that says it's natural and healthy and all that stuff, okay? So before you leave the store, look at the ingredient list. If it says sulfate on it, I need you to put it down, because what it's going to do is going to draw moisture away from your hair. And if you have dry hair like I do, and if you are on this live, you more than likely have it, you are going to end up with dry hair and then be frustrated because your curls don't pop, or be irritated because your hair's still massively dry. And it's dry because the suds do not add moisture to your hair, they actually suck moisture away. Sulfates are not made for people who have naturally dry hair. But brands and companies know that people as a whole are accustomed to suds. So if you don't have something that has suds in it, you're going to be concerned that it's not cleaning your hair. And so they put suds in it anyway, right? Even though they know it's not gonna work for your hair. And then they'll sell you a moisturizer with mineral oil in it, which we're gonna talk about in a minute. They'll sell you a product that has mineral oil in it as a moisturizer so that you feel that your hair is not so dry, but it's gonna be dry anyway, and it's gonna break off because of the mineral oil. And we're going to talk about mineral oil in just a moment, okay? But bottom line, stay away from sulfates, because sulfates will cause your hair to remain dry. It will also cause your hair to break. Dry hair equals breakage. So if you are looking to retain your length, if you're looking to grow your hair, if you're looking for your hair just to be healthy, it will behoove you to not use a product that has sulfates in it, because it will cause you to have dryness and breakage and lack of length retention, and your hair will seem like it's not growing. All right. The next thing I want you to stay away from is bad alcohols. There are three, actually there's a few more, but three really great alcohols, right? It is a falsehood, complete falsehood, that all alcohols are bad. That is not true. There are three, actually again, there's more, but there's three main ones that you usually see in hair products. One of them is cetyl alcohol, that's C-E-T-Y-L. The second one is stearyl alcohol, S-T-E-A-R-Y-L. And the third one is ceteryl alcohol, which is a combination of the first two, which is C-E-T-E-A-R-Y-L. Those are all alcohols that are actually derived from coconuts. And if it is a coconut derived alcohol, the brand is smart to put coconut derived on the bottle, because to tell you that it comes from a fruit. Think about grapes, right? Let's say you leave grapes out for so long, they ferment, they form an alcohol, you drink it, you have a good time, no problem, right? Same thing with coconut derived alcohols. The coconuts stay out for a while, they form an alcohol, and oftentimes those alcohols are put into beauty products, and they are humectants. Humectants are ingredients that draw moisture to your hair, which is everything. Like, this is something that you want to see. Now, other alcohols, you need to stay away from those things. Those things are going to dry your hair out, okay? Alcohols, think about what alcohol does, like rubbing alcohol. Like when your kid scrapes him or herself, you put the alcohol on it, and it looks like it starts to dry it up, right? It dries it up, helps it to form a scab, cleans it obviously, forms a scab, boom, your kid's safe, healthy, whatever, right? It's going to do the same thing for your hair. There is literally rubbing alcohol in Cantu products. We've talked about this, right? There is isopropyl alcohol, which you can get at the dollar store for 99 cents, y'all. And it's in hair products that you see in the store. It's in can 2. It's in other products. And then when this news came out that it was in can 2, everybody was in an uproar like, oh my goodness, there's rubbing alcohol in can 2. I've been telling y'all this for years. And I'm so glad that the article was shared and people were being enlightened. But this is not news. This has been going on forever. These products don't care about you. It's like Michael Jackson said, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. They don't care. They don't care. They just want to make $1. Okay? That's the bottom line. They don't care. They don't care about how, again, how you show up in the world, how you feel about yourself, how your hair performs. They don't care that you're not, that your hair isn't growing. They don't care that your hair, because the fact that your hair isn't growing is going to cause you to buy more product, because you're going to think there's something wrong with your hair and not something wrong with the ingredients that you're using. Right? Or as Renee and I discussed on our Real Hair Revelation video that she co-hosted with me a couple weeks ago, she told you guys, product alone will not transform your hair. So there's things that you have to do along with the product that you're using to help it along the way. It's just like working out, right? And I always use diet and exercise as an analogy, but you cannot drink Slim Fast and then still do all the other mess you were doing and expect to lose weight. Like, you got to do stuff along with it, right? You can't just drink Slim Fast and be done, right? You still have to work out. You still have to eat sensibly, all this other stuff. So you can't just buy a hair product, put it in your hair, and then hope it works miracles. Like, it doesn't work that way. There's other things that you have to do. And so, again, this is something that brands don't seem to want to tell people, because there's a lot of money, again, to be made, and you thinking that it's just product. Like, product is going to resolve your issues. That's why on the labels it'll tell you curl popping, and it'll sell you all these hopes and dreams, so that you'll buy it and then again get it home and be frustrated. And then by the time you see somebody like me or one of my really amazing brand owner counterparts who have great products, you're jaded and you're gun shy, and you're like, I don't know, because I've been burned by so many other brands, right? All right, so alcohols. Stay away from isopropyl alcohol, SD alcohol, alcohol 40, any alcohol other than the 3 I mentioned that are good and humectants for you. You pretty much want to stay away from those, because they're made in a lab. They're designed to dry your hair out, and it will cause you problems. But if you do see those 3 really good alcohols, please make sure that you get it, because those alcohols will draw moisture to your hair, and they're not man-made alcohols in a lab. They're really, really good for you. The 4th and final thing I want you to stay away from is mineral oil. Mineral oil, y'all, I can't stand mineral oil. I can't stand the way that it is labeled, because it's not really an oil, right? So mineral oil is a byproduct of when gas companies distill gasoline from crude oil. When they separate the two, what's left over is mineral oil. So it's not really oil in the sense that we think of jojoba oil or argan oil or Jamaican black castor oil or olive oil or any of these good oils. It is literally like gasoline, a gasoline byproduct. And the reason that you find it in so many hair products is, again, because it's so cheap. You can literally buy a drum. A drum is like a couple tons, right? It's huge. You can buy a drum of mineral oil for like $1.50. It's super cheap. It's super, super cheap, which is why you always find it at the top of the ingredient list when you're buying products. If you've ever tried a product that has mineral oil, I'm willing to bet that you bought it, you put it on, and your hair was shiny and it felt good, and you was popping. You was like, man, this is amazing. And then several hours, maybe a day or so later, you start to find that your hair was extremely dry. And that's because mineral oil is a moisture blocker, because it's not really oil. It's a blocker. It literally blocks moisture from getting to your hair. And if you have dry hair, like I do, if you have dry hair, the last thing that you need is something that's going to block moisture from getting to your hair. If your hair feels dry to you, and we've discussed this before, if your hair feels dry to you, it's already been dry at the core of your hair, like the inside part. And when that part is dry, that is the beginning of breakage and brittleness and shedding and just all that stuff that you don't want, right? So it behooves you to make sure that you are keeping your hair moisturized with a product that is highly moisturizing, that is mineral oil free. Mineral oil also shows up in the term of paraffinium liquidum. paraffinium liquidum is like the Latin or official term for mineral oil. So because most of you watching are not going to be chemists, how would you know that paraffinium is the same thing as mineral oil? But a lot of brands will put paraffinium liquidum on there thinking that you won't know and that you'll buy it. But now you know, right? Now you know that mineral oil is the same thing as paraffinium liquidum and vice versa. So when you go to buy a product, don't buy a product with mineral oil in it or paraffinium liquidum, because it's going to block moisture to your hair. Your hair is going to be dry. Your hair is not going to thrive. It's not going to retain length. You're going to have all sorts of issues, even though in the beginning it's going to feel slick and it's going to look shiny. And that's because it is that slick, shiny byproduct that just masks what's really going to be happening. So you can put a good moisture, a cheap, very, garbage moisturizer on your hair with mineral oil in it, and then go to put something on your hair that is truly moisturizing, but it's going to block it from getting to your hair. So even though it's literally just sitting on top of your hair, and it doesn't come out unless, guess what? Unless you use a product that has sulfates. So here we go again. So now you don't use this ingredient, this moisturizer or hair lotion or what have you that has mineral oil in it. You put this on and it doesn't come out. Even though you may wash your hair and it may feel like it came out, trust me, it didn't come out unless you used a detergent, unless you used something that was similar to Tide laundry detergent on your hair, which is what we just talked about. All right, so it's like this cycle of bad ingredients that keep us buying these negative products and still being frustrated and not understanding why our hair is not cooperating, why our hair isn't shiny, why it's not doing what it needs to do. As I've said before, natural hair is very simple. It is not hard to take care of, but these blogs and all this misinformation and just these products in general have us all thinking that, oh, there's so much work to natural hair. It's so hard. It's not that hard. At the end of the day, your hair needs to remain moisturized. And you can find great moisturizers all over the place. You can find one at Naturalicious. We have our Moisture Infusion Styling Cream, aka Step 2 in our line. There are other amazing moisturizers out there that you can use as well if you aren't interested in using Naturalicious. But either way, there's plenty out there. But the ones that are putting, these bad ingredients in there, they put you into this whole cycle. And you end up with situations like this, where it's causing, all sorts of diseases and cancers and stuff like that. Shea butter is great when used. Somebody's asking about shea butter. Shea butter is great when it's used correctly. So a lot of times people are using the right ingredients and the right products in the wrong order. This is another thing that keeps us kind of in the dark about what our hair really needs. Okay, so shea butter is great if it's used after a moisturizer. Shea butter is essentially a solidified oil, right? So think about if you put it in the microwave or if you sit it out on a hot day, it's going to melt. It's going to be an oil. It's going to basically show up as an oil. And so sometimes people will put shea butter or cocoa butter on their hair directly and think that's going to moisturize their hair. This is not the case. Oils cannot moisturize. Oils are not moisturizers. I have said it once, I'll say it a million times. Oils are not moisturizers. They do, however, lock in whatever they are on top of, which is a good thing. So if you moisturize your hair with a great moisturizer, like the Naturalicious Moisture Infusion Styling Cream Step 2, shameless plug. If you do moisturize your hair with a great moisturizer on top of dry hair, and then you put on the shea butter or the cocoa butter or any sort of oil, it will then lock in that moisture. But if you just put on shea butter or any sort of oil on your hair directly, your hair is going to be kind of slippery, and it may be temporarily shiny, but it's going to evaporate eventually. It will remain on your hair, however, and your hair will be dry because it's not a moisturizer. It has no moisturizing properties whatsoever in it. But again, it does lock in moisture, or it will lock in dryness. So if you put it on top of dry hair, it's going to lock in dryness. If you put it on top of moisturized hair, it's going to lock in moisture. So as long as you use it in the right order, shea butter is great for your hair. Great question. So I'm off my soapbox now. I hope this has been beneficial for you guys. I really, really wanted to talk about this article ever since I saw it kind of moving around the web. As I mentioned, you know, this article actually is dated for May 3rd of 2018, but it somehow has picked up traction again. And I'm glad that it has, because it gets the conversation going. It gets these sorts of topics and conversations happening, because otherwise people remain in the dark. And, you know, if you guys love Real Hair Revelations and you love that I get on here every Thursday and I talk about this stuff, and, you know, I would please invite your friends and family or whoever to this to the fan page here, because the more people know about what to do with their hair in general, the less we have black women as a whole out here mad and frustrated and not understanding what to do, and the less we have people buying products that are causing these cancers. Okay, so please, please, please invite as many people as you can, because I get on here every single week. I do this. I don't get paid to do this. I do this because it's my passion. It's my love. Like I said, I don't exist to create products, to just sell products. That doesn't get me up every day at all. Like, selling products is not my jam. What is my jam is creating solutions. Like, at Naturalicious, in the office, I'm always telling them, like, we are creating solutions for frustrated naturals. That is what we do. That is our mission. That is the only thing that we're here to do. We are not creating another one of many products, right? We are not going to do that. Why don't we have an edge control? I'll tell you why we don't have an edge control. We don't have an edge control because edge controls cake up on your hair. They cake up on your edges, and they cause your edges to fall out if used too much. That's why we don't have an edge control. Not because people don't want it, not because it's not like the hot new product or whatever. We don't have an edge control because edge controls oftentimes cake up on your edges, and then people end up with thinning edges and they can't understand why. It's because they've been using too much of those edge controls, and those edge controls end up taking out the edges. And who cares if your hair looks great if you ain't got no edges, right? Like, who cares? You know what I mean? I want you to love you. I want you to love what you look like, how you feel. I want you to show up in the world as your best self, and you can't do that if your hair is whack and you don't feel good about it. So anyway, thank you for allowing me to be on my soapbox tonight, you guys. I really appreciate it. But I hope that this allowed you to get some insight. For those of you who have heard this before, I hope that it has reignited the knowledge that you know and that you've learned before. For those of you who are new, I hope that it has enlightened you and inspired you to make sure that you are looking at your ingredients before you buy them at the store. Okay? Save time, save money, stop being frustrated. Don't subject yourself to this kind of mess. And I love all of you. I really do. And it just lights up my world especially when I'm doing these events live, because I do these live sometimes, and I can see like the light bulbs go off in people's minds, and they're like, oh, that's why I can't get my hair to grow, or that's why I have X, Y, and Z problem, or whatever. That's really what gets me going. So thank you guys so much for listening tonight, and I will talk to you guys next week. Mwah. See you soon. Bye.